Some people are born to be forgotten. Lena Varelli thought she was one of them, until the night her sister got married. The night the most beautiful wedding cake she'd ever made was attributed to someone else. The night her father kicked her out of the house in the middle of the party. The night the most dangerous man in the city saw her and decided she would no longer be invisible. This is the story of a woman who learns to set the world on fire that tried to extinguish her. Watch to the end, hit like, and comment where you're watching from. I want to know how far this story has come. The kitchen smelled like burnt sugar and something darker. Exhaustion, maybe? Or the kind of desperation that seeps into your bones at 4 a.m. Lena's hands shook as she piped the last magnolia petal onto the wedding cake, the one her sister would cut tomorrow in front of 300 people who wouldn't know Lena's name, wouldn't even know she existed. She stepped back. The cake was perfect. 5 tiers of Italian buttercream and champagne sponge, sugar flowers so delicate they looked ready to bloom. She'd worked 16 hours straight, her back screaming, fingers cramped into claws. Worth it, she told herself. It had to be worth it. The lie tasted bitter. Lena wiped her hands on her apron and checked her phone. No messages. Of course not. Her father had made it clear she wasn't invited to the rehearsal dinner. "You're the help," he'd said, not even looking at her. "Not family, not tonight." She was 28 years old and still flinching at his voice. The apartment above the family bakery was cold. She climbed the narrow stairs, peeled off her flour-dusted clothes, and fell into bed without showering. Sleep came in fragments, dreams of cake collapsing, her sister's laughter, her father's disappointment carved into every childhood memory. At noon, she woke to the sound of her phone buzzing. A text from Camilla, her younger sister, the bride. "Cake better be perfect. No, thank you. No, how are you? Just expectation, sharp as a blade." Lena typed back, "It is." She didn't add what she wanted to say, that she'd spent 3 weeks testing recipes, that she'd hand-painted edible gold onto each petal, that she'd poured everything she had into making Camilla's day flawless. None of that mattered. It never did. The reception was at the Bellecourt estate, the kind of place that made you feel poor just by existing near it. Lena arrived early, driving the bakery van because her father refused to let her ride with the family. She wore a simple black dress, the kind that helped you disappear into corners, and carried the cake inside with the help of 2 catering staff who didn't speak to her. The ballroom was obscene. Crystal chandeliers, white roses imported from Ecuador, a string quartet playing something soft and expensive. Lena set up the cake on its designated table, adjusted the flowers, checked the structure twice. Perfect. Again. "Is that it?" Her father's voice. Lorenzo Virelli, 63, built like a bull, voice like gravel. He stood behind her, arms crossed, inspecting the cake the way you'd inspect a used car. "Yes," Lena said. Her throat felt tight. Camilla wanted 6 tiers. She said 5. She wanted 6. Lena's pulse kicked. "Papa, I have the email. You calling your sister a liar?" She wasn't, but she knew how this worked. Camilla changed her mind like other people breathed, and Lena was always the one left holding the blame. "No," Lena said quietly. "I'm sorry." Lorenzo grunted. "People are going to talk. They'll say we cheaped out." "It's a beautiful cake." "It's fine." He turned away, dismissing her with his back. "Go make yourself useful. Help in the kitchen." She stood there, hands clenched, staring at the cake she'd bled for. Then she walked away, because that's what she always did. The kitchen was chaos. Catering staff shouted orders, someone dropped a tray of champagne flutes, and Lena found herself peeling shrimp in the corner like she was 16 again, working her father's bakery, invisible and silent. She didn't cry. She'd learned a long time ago that tears changed nothing. At 7, the ceremony began. Lena watched from the kitchen doorway as Camilla floated down the aisle in a custom Vera Wang gown, diamonds glittering at her throat. Their father walked beside her, beaming, proud. He'd never looked at Lena like that. Not once. The groom was a banker named Trevor, handsome in the boring way rich men often were. He smiled at Camilla like she was the only thing in the room. Maybe she was. Maybe that's what love looked like when you were the kind of person people noticed. Lena turned away before the vows. She couldn't watch. By 9, the reception was in full swing. Laughter echoed off marble floors, champagne flowed, and a DJ played something upbeat that made everyone feel young and reckless. Lena stayed in the shadows, watching her sister dance, watching her father shake hands with men in expensive suits. No one looked for her. No one ever did. Then the cake. The lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the 5-tier masterpiece, and the crowd gasped. Actual gasps. Lena's chest tightened. Maybe this was it. Maybe someone would ask who made it. Maybe, "Everyone, please!" Camilla's voice rang out, amplified by a microphone. "I just want to thank my amazing father for creating this stunning cake." The room erupted in applause. Lena's world tilted. Lorenzo stepped forward, grinning, shaking hands, accepting congratulations. He didn't correct anyone, didn't even glance at Lena. He bowed. Someone shouted, "You're a master, Lorenzo." Her father laughed. "What can I say? When it's for my little girl, only the best." Lena couldn't breathe. Her vision tunneled. She stood frozen at the edge of the ballroom, watching her work, her soul, claimed by a man who'd never touched a piping bag in his life. Camilla caught her eye across the room. For 1 second, Lena thought her sister might say something, might tell the truth. Camilla smiled, raised her champagne glass, and turned away. That's when Lena felt it, the final thread snapping, the one that had held her together for 28 years. She walked. Not toward the exit. Toward the table where her father stood, surrounded by admirers. "Papa?" He turned, annoyed. "Not now, Lena." "You didn't make that cake." The conversations around them stuttered, stopped. Lorenzo's face darkened. "Go back to the kitchen." "I made it." Her voice cracked, but she kept going. "I designed it. I baked it. Every single piece." Someone laughed nervously. Her father's jaw clenched. "You're embarrassing yourself," he said quietly, dangerously. "I'm telling the truth. You're delusional." He leaned closer, voice dropping. "You think anyone cares? You think these people give a damn who mixed the batter? You're help, Lena. That's all you've ever been." The words hit like fists. Lena opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Camilla appeared, face flushed with anger. "Lena, what the hell are you doing? Telling them I made your cake? Oh my God." Camilla's laugh was sharp, ugly. "Are you seriously doing this? At my wedding? You know I made it." "I know you helped." Camilla's smile was vicious. "Papa taught you everything. Don't act like you did this alone." The lie was so smooth, so practiced, that for a second Lena almost believed it herself. Lorenzo put a hand on Camilla's shoulder. "Ignore her. She's just jealous." The guests were staring now, some pitying, some amused. Lena felt herself shrinking, felt the familiar instinct to apologize, to retreat, to vanish. But something had broken. Something vital. "I quit," Lena said. Her father blinked. "What?" "I quit. The bakery. This family. All of it." Lorenzo's face turned red. "You ungrateful—" "And I'm moving out." That stopped him. His expression shifted, surprise, then calculation, then something worse, satisfaction. "Actually," Lorenzo said slowly, "you're not." Lena frowned. "What?" "The apartment. It's mine, not yours." He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. "I was going to give you this next week, but hell, why wait?" He handed it to her. An eviction notice. Dated 3 days ago. "You have 30 days, Lorenzo said. "Should have done this years ago. You've been dead weight long enough." The room was silent. Camilla looked away. No one moved to help. Lena stared at the paper in her hands. 30 days. No job. No home. Nothing. "You're a bastard," she whispered. Lorenzo shrugged. "And you're nothing." Lena turned and walked. Past the champagne, past the pitying stares, past the life she'd tried so hard to belong to. She made it to the parking lot before her knees gave out. She sat on the curb, barefoot. She'd lost her shoes somewhere, and shaking. The eviction notice crumpled in her fist. She wanted to scream, wanted to cry, wanted to burn the entire estate to the ground. Instead, she pulled out her phone. There was one name in her contacts she'd never had the guts to call, a number given to her 6 months ago by a supplier who'd said, "If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, call this man." Dorian Wolfe. She knew the stories. Everyone did. He owned half the city's real estate, ran security for people who didn't ask questions, and had the kind of reputation that made grown men nervous. Dangerous. powerful, untouchable. And somehow, once, at a food expo, he'd looked at her, really looked, like she existed. Lena's finger hovered over the call button. This was insane. He probably wouldn't even remember her. And if he did, what could he possibly do? Her father's voice echoed in her head. You're nothing. She pressed call. It rang once, twice. Then a voice, low and smooth. Lena Virelli. Her breath caught. He knew her name. Her voice broke. She swallowed. I need help. Silence. Then, where are you? Bellecourt Estate. I know where it is. A pause. Stay there. The line went dead. Lena sat on the curb, hugging her knees, trying to stop shaking. She had no idea what she'd just done. No idea if he was even coming. 20 minutes later, 3 black cars pulled into the parking lot. No sirens, no announcement, just smooth, predatory silence. The center car's door opened. Dorian Wolfe stepped out. He was taller than she remembered. Mid-30s, dark suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe, and eyes that scanned the lot like he was cataloging threats. When he found her, barefoot, ruined, sitting on the curb, something shifted in his expression. Not pity, something sharper. He walked over, stopped a few feet away. Lena. She looked up at him. I shouldn't have called. But you did. He crouched down, meeting her eyes. Tell me what happened. So she did. All of it. The cake, the lies, the eviction. The words tumbled out, messy and broken, and he listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was silent for a long moment. Then he stood. Wait here. What are you? But he was already walking toward the estate. Lena scrambled to her feet, panic spiking. Dorian, don't! He disappeared inside. 3 minutes. That's how long he was gone. When he came back out, her father was behind him. Lorenzo looked pale, shaken. Behind him, Camilla and Trevor hovered in the doorway, confused. Dorian stopped in front of Lena. Your father has something to say. Lorenzo's jaw worked. He glared at Dorian, then at Lena. The cake, Lorenzo said tightly. Lena made it. The words sounded like they were choking him. Louder, Dorian said. Lena made the goddamn cake. A few guests had followed them outside. They stared, whispered. Dorian turned to Lena. Good enough? She couldn't speak, could barely breathe. And the apartment? Dorian asked, voice casual. Lorenzo's face twisted. She can stay. No, Lena said. Both men looked at her. I don't want it. She met her father's eyes. I don't want anything from you. Lorenzo's expression cracked, anger and something that might have been hurt. But Lena didn't care anymore. Dorian nodded. Then let's go. He walked toward his car. Lena hesitated, looking back at the estate, at her sister, at the life she was leaving. Camilla's face was unreadable. Their father looked smaller than she'd ever seen him. Lena turned and followed Dorian. She got into the car. The leather seats were soft. The interior smelled like cedar and smoke. Dorian slid in beside her, and the driver pulled away without a word. Where are we going? Lena asked. Somewhere safe. He glanced at her. Unless you'd rather I take you back. No. The word came out too fast. She cleared her throat. No, I can't go back. Then don't. They drove in silence. Lena watched the city lights blur past, her mind spinning. She'd just walked away from everything, her family, her home, her entire identity, and she'd done it with a man she barely knew. Why did you come? She asked quietly. Dorian was quiet for a moment, then, because you called. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. The car stopped in front of a high-rise downtown. Sleek glass and steel, the kind of building with doormen and security cameras. Dorian got out, and Lena followed, still barefoot, still shaking. Inside, the lobby was all marble and cold lighting. Dorian led her to the elevator, pressed the button for the top floor. You're staying here tonight, he said. Tomorrow, we'll figure out the rest. I can't afford. You're not paying. The elevator doors opened into a penthouse apartment that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture, everything sharp and expensive. Lena stood in the entryway, feeling completely out of place. Dorian gestured toward a hallway. Guest room's that way. Bathroom stocked. Help yourself to anything in the kitchen. She nodded, mute. He started to leave, then paused. Lena. She looked up. You did the right thing, he said. Walking away. Doesn't feel right. It never does. His eyes were dark, unreadable. But you'll survive. I'll make sure of it. Then he was gone, disappearing into another part of the apartment, leaving her alone with the weight of what she'd just done. Lena walked to the guest room, sat on the bed, stared at her hands, still smelling like sugar and buttercream, still shaking. She'd burned her life down tonight, and she had no idea what came next. But for the first time in 28 years, she wasn't invisible, and that terrified her more than anything. Outside in the main room, Dorian poured himself a drink and stared out at the city. He'd been tracking Lena Varelli for 6 months, ever since he'd tasted one of her pastries at a supplier's event and asked who made it, since he'd seen her, quiet and unnoticed in the corner, and felt something shift in his chest. He didn't do this, didn't intervene, didn't care about people's family drama. But when she'd called tonight, voice breaking, he'd moved without thinking. Now she was here, in his space, vulnerable and angry and alive in a way he hadn't seen before. This was a mistake. He knew it. He drank anyway. And upstairs in the guest room, Lena lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering what kind of deal she'd just made, and whether she'd survive it. Lena woke up to sunlight cutting through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee she hadn't made. For 3 seconds, she forgot where she was. Then it all came back. The wedding, her father's face, the eviction notice, Dorian's car pulling up like some dark answer to a question she shouldn't have asked. She sat up. Her black dress from last night hung over a chair, wrinkled and pathetic. Someone had left clothes on the dresser. Jeans, a soft gray sweater, undergarments still tagged. All in her size. Her skin prickled. How did he know her size? She dressed quickly, avoiding her reflection. Didn't want to see what 28 years of disappearing looked like in morning light. The penthouse was quiet. Too quiet. Lena padded barefoot through the hallway, past abstract art that probably cost more than her entire existence, and found the kitchen. Dorian stood at the counter in dark slacks and a white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, reading something on his phone. He looked up when she entered. Coffee's fresh, he said. No good morning, no small talk. Lena poured herself a cup. Her hands were steadier than last night, but not by much. Thank you. For the clothes. They fit? How did you... I noticed things. He set his phone down. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. You're shaking. She looked at her hands. He was right. She drank the coffee instead, black and bitter, and felt it burn down to her empty stomach. Dorian opened the fridge, started pulling out eggs, butter, bread. Sit. You don't have to. Sit, Lena. The command in his voice made her obey before she could think. She sat at the island counter, watching him move through the kitchen with surprising efficiency. He cooked like someone who'd learned out of necessity, not pleasure. Scrambled eggs, toast, nothing fancy. He slid a plate in front of her. Eat. She did, mostly because arguing felt like more energy than she had. The food tasted like nothing, but her body didn't care. She finished half before speaking. What happens now? Dorian leaned against the counter, arms crossed. That depends. What do you want to happen? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She threw his words from last night back at him. His mouth twitched, almost a smile. You need a place to stay, he said. A job, money, in that order. I can't stay here. Why not? Because I don't know you. The words came out sharper than she meant. I don't know what you want from me. Dorian was quiet for a long moment, then, I want you to stop disappearing. What? 6 months ago, I watched you serve pastries at a trade show. You moved like you were trying not to exist. When someone complimented your work, you looked terrified. His eyes were dark, unreadable. Last night you called me because you had nowhere else to go. That tells me everything I need to know. Which is what? That you've spent your whole life making yourself small, and I'm done watching it. The statement hung between them, too honest, too raw. Lena's chest tightened. You don't know me, she repeated. I know enough. Why do you care? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to a drawer, pulled out a business card, and slid it across the counter. Marcus Chen, real estate agent. He owes me a favor. Dorian's voice was matter of fact. He'll find you an apartment, something you can afford once you're working. I don't have a job. You will. Doing what? Making cakes for my father's bakery was all I knew. Then you'll learn something else. Or, he paused, you'll make cakes for yourself. Lena laughed. It came out bitter, broken. With what money? What equipment? I can't just... Why not? Because it doesn't work like that. It works however you make it work. Dorian's voice didn't rise, but something in it cut through her panic. You want to keep being invisible? Keep making excuses? Fine. I'll drive you back to your father's bakery right now. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. You proved that last night. He leaned forward, hands flat on the counter. So decide, right now, do you want to disappear again, or do you want to fight? Lena's throat burned. She wanted to scream at him, wanted to tell him he didn't understand that it wasn't that simple. But the look in his eyes, cold and patient and absolutely certain, made her feel like a coward. I want to fight, she whispered. Good. He straightened. Then we start today. By noon, Lena was sitting in Marcus Chen's office, a cramped space above a dry cleaner that smelled like lavender and desperation. Marcus was 40, balding, and spoke too fast like he'd had 3 espressos for breakfast. So Dorian says you need a place. Something cheap but safe. Okay, I can do that. I got a few options. He shuffled through papers, pulled out 3 listings. This one's in Riverside Studio, $700 a month. Not bad, but the neighborhood's sketchy. This one's downtown, bigger, $950, but you'd need first and last plus deposit up front. And this? I can't afford any of these, Lena said. Marcus blinked. What's your budget? I don't have one. I don't have anything. His smile faltered. Oh, okay. Let me call Dorian. No. Too late. Marcus was already dialing. He put it on speaker. Dorian answered on the first ring. Problem? She's got no money, man. Like 0. I can't work with 0. Silence. Then, put her on. Marcus slid the phone toward Lena like it might explode. She picked it up, turned off the speaker. I told you I can't afford this. I'll cover first month's rent and deposit. No. Lena, I'm not taking your money. It's a loan. I can't pay you back. Then don't. His voice was calm, infuriatingly calm. Consider it an investment. In what? You. The word hit her chest like a fist. She closed her eyes. Why are you doing this? Because no one else will. A pause. And because I can. She wanted to argue, wanted to throw the phone across the room. But her options were this or the street, and pride didn't keep you warm at night. Fine, she said, but I'm paying you back. Every cent. We'll see. The line went dead. Marcus was staring at her. So, we're good? We're good. He grinned, relief flooding his face. Okay, great. So I'm thinking the Riverside spot, it's not pretty, but it's got potential, and honestly with some paint, and I'll take it. You haven't even seen it. I don't care. I'll take it. Marcus blinked, then shrugged. Your funeral. Let me get the keys. The apartment was worse than she'd imagined. 4th floor walk-up, no elevator, walls the color of old cigarettes. The kitchen was a hot plate and a mini fridge. The bathroom had mold in the corners. The single window overlooked a parking lot where someone had abandoned a shopping cart. Lena stood in the middle of the empty living room and felt something crack open in her chest. This was hers. Shitty and small and smelling like someone's bad decisions, but hers. Marcus cleared his throat. So, you want it? Yes. You sure? Because I got other options. I'm sure. He handed her the keys. They were cold and light in her palm. Real. First month's covered, Marcus said. Dorian wired the money an hour ago. You got 30 days to figure out the rest. 30 days. The same amount her father had given her to get out. Thank you, Lena said. Marcus nodded, already halfway out the door. Good luck. You're going to need it. Then she was alone. Lena sat on the floor, back against the wall, and stared at the empty room. No furniture, no food, no plan, just her and 400 square feet of possibility. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Address? She frowned, then realized. Dorian. She typed back the address. 3 minutes later. Stay there. She didn't know what that meant, but an hour later there was a knock. She opened the door to find 2 delivery guys holding a mattress. Lena Virelli? Yes? Delivery from Wolf Enterprises. They brought in a bed frame, a mattress, sheets, pillows, then a small table and 2 chairs, then a box of kitchen supplies, plates, utensils, a coffee maker, then groceries. Lena stood frozen, watching her empty apartment fill up. Sign here, one of the guys said, shoving a clipboard at her. She signed without reading. When they left, her phone buzzed again. Dorian. You need to eat. Lena. You didn't have to do this. Dorian. I know. She sat on her new bed, firm, expensive, nothing like the lumpy thing she'd slept on at her father's, and felt something dangerous rising in her chest. Gratitude. And something worse. Dependence. Eat. 3 days passed. Lena spent them cleaning the apartment, learning the neighborhood, avoiding her phone. Her father called twice. Camilla once. She didn't answer. On the 4th day, Dorian showed up. She opened the door to find him standing in the hallway, holding 2 coffees. He was in jeans and a dark jacket, less formal than she'd seen him, but still carrying that edge of control. You've been hiding, he said. I've been settling in. Bullshit. He handed her a coffee. You're avoiding me. She took the cup. He wasn't wrong. What do you want? To talk about your job. I don't have one. You will. Tomorrow. Lena frowned. What are you talking about? Dorian stepped inside without asking, looked around the apartment. His expression was unreadable. It's small. It's mine. Something flickered in his eyes. Good. You're learning. He turned to face her. I know someone who runs a patisserie downtown, high-end. They need a pastry chef. Her stomach dropped. I can't. You can. I'm not trained. I don't have formal experience. You made a 5-tier wedding cake that had people crying. His voice was flat, factual. You're better than half the people in this city with diplomas. You just don't believe it. That's not... It is. He stepped closer. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Margot Patisserie on 5th. Interview with the owner. Don't be late. You can't just... I already did. He headed for the door, then stopped. And Lena? What? Stop saying you can't. It's boring. Then he was gone. Lena stood in her apartment, coffee cooling in her hand, heart pounding. He'd gotten her a job interview. Without asking, she should have been angry. Should have called him and told him to stay out of her life. Instead, she spent the rest of the night researching Margot Patisserie and practicing what she'd say. The interview was a disaster, not because she wasn't good, because she was terrified. Margot Rousseau was 50, French, and had eyes like a hawk. She sat across from Lena in her pristine office above the patisserie and asked questions like they were scalpels. Why did you leave your last position? It was time. That's not an answer. Lena's throat tightened. Family reasons. Dorian said you were talented. Are you? I don't know. Margot's expression didn't change. You don't know if you're talented? I'm good. I work hard. Every pastry chef works hard. What makes you different? Lena opened her mouth, closed it. She had no answer. Margot sighed. Thank you for coming. I'll be in touch. Translation, don't call us. Lena left feeling like she'd been flayed. She made it 2 blocks before stopping in an alley and pressing her forehead against the brick wall, trying not to scream. Her phone rang. Dorian. How did it go? Terrible. She hired you. Lena pulled the phone away from her ear, stared at it, then put it back. What? Margot called me 10 minutes ago. You start Monday. That's impossible. I completely bombed. She said you were honest and scared. She likes that. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. Most people in this industry are arrogant assholes. You're not. A pause. Congratulations. The line went dead. Lena stood in the alley, phone in hand, trying to process. She had a job, an actual job at one of the best patisseries in the city, because Dorian Wolfe had made a phone call. She didn't know whether to thank him or hate him. Kiss. The first week at Margot was hell. Not because of the work. Lena could handle work, but the kitchen was full of people who'd gone to culinary school, who spoke French, who moved with the kind of confidence she'd never learned. They looked at her like she didn't belong. "Who's the new girl?" someone whispered on her second day. "Dorian Wolfe's project," another voice answered. "Probably his girlfriend." Lena's hands froze mid-whisk. She kept her head down, kept working, but the words burned. By Friday, she was exhausted. Her feet ached, her back screamed, and she'd barely spoken to anyone except Margot, who critiqued everything she made with brutal honesty. "Your ganache is grainy. Your macarons are hollow. This tart shell is thick as cardboard." But she also said, "Better, try again, good. And once, you have instinct, now you need technique." Lena clung to that. On Friday night, she came home to find Dorian sitting on the stairs outside her building. "You're not allowed to do that," she said, too tired to be surprised. "Do what?" "Show up uninvited." "You didn't answer my calls." "I've been working." He stood. "How is it?" "Hard." "Good." Lena unlocked her door, hesitated, then left it open. An invitation. Dorian followed her inside. She dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes, and collapsed on the couch. "They think I'm sleeping with you." "Who?" "Everyone at Margot." Dorian sat in the chair across from her. "Does it matter?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because it's not true, and it makes me look like I didn't earn this." "You didn't." His voice was calm, factual. "I got you the interview. Margot hired you because I asked. None of this is earned. Not yet." The honesty was a slap. Lena sat up, anger flaring. "Then why are you helping me? I told you. No, the real reason." She leaned forward. "What do you want from me, Dorian?" He was quiet for a long time. Long enough that she almost regretted asking. Then, "I want to see what happens when you stop apologizing for existing." The words hit her chest, soft and terrible. "That's not an answer," she whispered. "It's the only one you're getting tonight." He stood. "Get some sleep. You look like hell." "Thanks." "Lena." She looked up. "You're doing fine." Then he left. Lena sat alone in her apartment, exhausted and confused and feeling something dangerous bloom in her chest. She was starting to trust him, and that scared her more than anything. 2 weeks later, everything exploded. It started when Camilla showed up at Margot. Lena was in the kitchen, working on a batch of eclairs, when one of the front-of-house staff poked her head in. "Lena, someone's here for you." She looked up, frowning. "Who?" "Your sister." Her blood went cold. Camilla stood in the pristine lobby, wearing designer everything, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She smiled when she saw Lena, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hi." Lena's hands clenched. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to see you. We've been calling." "I know. And you've been ignoring us." "Yes?" Camilla's smile tightened. "Can we talk? Somewhere private?" Lena glanced back at the kitchen. Margot was watching. "I'm working." 5 minutes. Against her better judgment, Lena led Camilla to the small office in back. Closed the door. "Talk," Lena said. Camilla looked around the office, taking in the small desk, the stacks of invoices. "So this is where you've been hiding." "I'm not hiding, I'm working." "At a job Dorian Wolfe got you." There it was. "How did you—" "Papa has connections." Camilla's voice was soft, dangerous. "He made some calls. Found out his oldest daughter is shacking up with the most dangerous man in the city." "I'm not shacking up with anyone. That's not what it looks like." "I don't care what it looks like." Camilla stepped closer. "You should. People are talking, Lena, saying you're his whore, that you traded one master for another." The word hit like a fist. Lena's vision blurred. "Get out! I'm trying to help you. By calling me a whore? By telling you the truth." Camilla's composure cracked. You think Dorian Wolf cares about you? He owns half this city. He destroys people for fun. And you, she laughed, bitter. You're nobody. A pastry chef with daddy issues. Lena's hand shook. Why are you here? Because Papa wants you to come home. The statement hung in the air, absurd and horrible. You're joking. He's willing to forgive you, give you your job back. Forget all this happened. In exchange for what? Camilla hesitated. You stop seeing Dorian. You apologize to the family, and you admit you were wrong. Lena stared at her sister, at the woman who'd stood beside their father while he erased her, who'd claimed her work, her talent, her entire existence. No. Lena, get the fuck out. Camilla's face went cold. You're making a mistake. Probably, but it's mine. He'll hurt you, Dorian. Men like him always do. Men like Papa already did. Lena opened the door. We're done. Camilla stood there, something unreadable crossing her face. Then she walked out, heels clicking on the tile. Lena closed the door and leaned against it, shaking. 5 minutes later, Margot knocked. Everything all right? Fine. That was your sister? Yes. She seems lovely. The dry sarcasm broke something in Lena. She laughed, sharp and broken. She's a nightmare. Margot studied her. Family usually is. She paused. You want the rest of the day off? No, I want to work. Good. Margot turned to leave, then stopped. Lena? Yes? Whatever they said, don't listen. You're here because you're good. Not because of Dorian. Not because of anyone else. Remember that. Lena nodded, throat tight. She went back to work. But that night, lying in bed, Camilla's words echoed. You're nobody. A pastry chef with daddy issues. He'll hurt you. Men like him always do. Lena stared at the ceiling, trying to convince herself it wasn't true. Failing. Geekish. The breaking point came 3 days later. Lena's storefront window shattered at 2 a.m. She wasn't there when it happened, but Dorian called her at 2:17, voice tight. Are you home? Yes. Why? Stay there. Lock your door. Dorian, what? Someone put a brick through Margot's window. Your station was destroyed. Her stomach dropped. What? I'm sending security. Don't leave your apartment. Was anyone hurt? No, but whoever did this left a message. What message? Silence. Dorian, what did it say? His voice was cold, dangerous. Tell the whore to go home. Lena's world tilted. She sat down hard on her bed, phone pressed to her ear. My father, she whispered. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Another pause. Then, I'm handling it. What does that mean? It means stay inside. I'll call you in the morning. Dorian, but he'd already hung up. Lena sat in her dark apartment, hands shaking, and realized something terrifying. She'd thought walking away would be enough. She'd thought disappearing into a new life would protect her. But her family wasn't letting go. And Dorian, dangerous, powerful Dorian, was about to go to war on her behalf, whether she wanted him to or not. She stared at her phone, Camilla's warning echoing in her head. He'll hurt you. Men like him always do. But right now, Lena wasn't afraid of Dorian. She was afraid of what he was about to do. And she was more afraid that part of her, angry, broken, desperate, wanted him to do it. Outside, the city hummed. And somewhere in the dark, decisions were being made that would change everything. Lena lay down, closed her eyes, and waited for morning, knowing that when it came, there would be no going back. Morning came with sirens. Lena jerked awake to red and blue lights strobing through her window, heart hammering before her eyes fully opened. She stumbled to the glass, looked down at the street. 3 police cars, an ambulance, people gathering on sidewalks, phones out, filming something she couldn't see. Her phone buzzed. Dorian. Don't come outside. What happened? Your father's in the hospital. The words didn't make sense. She pressed her forehead against the cold window. What? Someone broke his jaw. 3 ribs. Fractured his orbital bone. Dorian's voice was flat, emotionless. He'll live. Lena's knees went weak. She sat down hard on the floor. Who? He's saying it was a robbery. Won't give the police a name. But you know who did it? Silence. Dorian, her voice cracked. Did you? I told you I'd handle it. By putting my father in the hospital? By making sure he understands there are consequences. Lena closed her eyes. The room spun. You had no right. He destroyed your workplace, left a message calling you a whore. What did you think would happen? Not this. She was shaking now, anger and horror twisting together. You don't get to decide. Someone had to. He's still my father. He stopped being your father the night he threw you out. Dorian's voice went cold. You want to feel sorry for him? Fine. But don't pretend he'd do the same for you. Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I need to go. Lena. She hung up. For 10 minutes, she sat on the floor, staring at nothing. Then she grabbed her jacket and left. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Lena found her father's room on the 3rd floor, Camilla standing guard outside like a sentinel. Her sister's face went hard when she saw her. You have some fucking nerve showing up here. I need to see him. No. Camilla blocked the door. You did this. I didn't. Your psycho boyfriend put Papa in the ICU, Lena. Don't act innocent. Dorian's not my boyfriend. Then what is he? Your handler? Your pimp? Lena's hand moved before she could think. The slap echoed in the hallway. Camilla's head snapped to the side, and for one terrible second, they both froze. Then Camilla lunged. They crashed into the wall, Camilla's nails raking across Lena's cheek. Lena shoved back, adrenaline drowning out thought. Someone screamed. Hands pulled them apart. Nurses, security, bodies between them. Get her out of here, Camilla shrieked, mascara running, face twisted with rage. She's not family anymore. Lena stood there, chest heaving, tasting blood from where she'd bitten her lip. A security guard had her arm. Ma'am, you need to leave. She didn't fight. Let herself be escorted to the elevator, down to the lobby, out into the cold morning air. She stood on the sidewalk, hand pressed to her bleeding cheek, and felt something fundamental break inside her. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. What? Lena Varelli? A woman's voice, professional, clipped. Who is this? Detective Sarah Reeves, Metro PD. We need to talk about your relationship with Dorian Wolfe. Lena's stomach dropped. I don't have to talk to you. You don't. But it would be in your best interest. A pause. We're building a case. Assault, extortion, possibly worse. You're connected to him. That makes you a person of interest. I haven't done anything. Then come in and tell us that. Make it official. The detective's voice softened slightly. Look, I know how this works. Men like Wolfe, they make you feel protected, special. But eventually, that protection comes with a price. And when things go bad, you're the one left holding the bag. I'm not. Think about it. Here's my card. She rattled off a number. Call me when you're ready to talk. Before this gets worse. The line went dead. Lena stood on the sidewalk, police card number burning in her mind, and realized the walls were closing in. She went to Margot instead of home. The patisserie's window had been replaced overnight, new glass so clean it looked like it wasn't there. Inside, the kitchen was spotless. No sign of yesterday's violence except the tension in everyone's shoulders. Margot looked up when Lena walked in. You shouldn't be here. I'm fine. You're bleeding. Lena touched her cheek, fingers coming away red. It's nothing. It's not nothing. Margot gestured to her office. Come. Inside, she handed Lena antiseptic and gauze. Lena cleaned the scratches in silence while Margot watched. Your sister? How did you know? Sisters always draw blood. Margot lit a cigarette, blew smoke toward the ceiling. You want to tell me what's happening? My father's in the hospital. I heard. Dorian put him there. Margot's expression didn't change. Did your father deserve it? The question caught Lena off guard. That's not... Simple question. Did he deserve it? Lena thought about the eviction notice, the humiliation, 28 years of erasure. Maybe. Then why do you look like someone died? Because it's wrong. Wrong? Margot laughed, short and bitter. Let me tell you something about wrong. When I opened this place, my ex-husband tried to burn it down. Insurance scam. He nearly killed 2 people. She tapped ash into a tray. Dorian found out. 3 days later, my ex left the country. I never asked what happened. I just said thank you. Lena stared at her. That's different. How? Because, Lena faltered, because Dorian shouldn't have what? Protected you? Made sure your father understood you're not alone anymore? Margot leaned forward. You think violence is always wrong. But sometimes it's the only language bullies understand. He's still my father. He stopped acting like one. Margot stubbed out her cigarette. You don't owe him forgiveness. You don't owe him anything. Lena's throat burned. The police called. That got Margot's attention. What did you tell them? Nothing. I hung up. Good. Keep it that way. She stood. Go home, Lena. Rest. Come back when you're ready to work. I can work now. No, you can't. Margot's voice was gentle but firm. You're shaking. Your hands are bleeding, and you look like you're about to shatter. Go home. Lena wanted to argue, but Margot was right. She was falling apart. She left. Dorian was waiting outside her building. He leaned against his car, arms crossed, face unreadable. When he saw her, something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe, or something darker. You went to the hospital. It wasn't a question. How did you know? I know everything. He pushed off the car. Are you hurt? Lena laughed. It came out jagged, broken. You put my father in the ICU and you're asking if I'm hurt? He attacked you first. He smashed a window and called you a whore. Dorian's voice dropped, dangerous. Left a message saying you should go home. You think that ends with broken glass? So you broke him instead. I sent a message back. That's how this works. This isn't your world, Dorian. This is my family. Your family threw you away. He stepped closer. I'm trying to protect you. I didn't ask for protection. You called me that night. You asked for help. Not this, not violence, not... Her voice cracked. The police called me. That stopped him. His jaw tightened. What did you say? Nothing. Good. Keep it that way. They said they're building a case, that I'm a person of interest. They're bluffing. Are they? Lena's voice rose. Because it sounded pretty real to me. They want you to turn on me. That's all this is. Maybe I should. The words hung between them, sharp and terrible. Dorian's expression went blank. You don't mean that. Don't I? Lena's hand shook. You've taken over my life, got me an apartment, a job, furniture. You beat up my father without asking. Now the police are circling and I barely know you. You know enough? I don't know anything. She was shouting now, months of fear and anger spilling out. I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know what you want from me. I don't even know if I can trust you. Dorian was silent for a long moment, then, You want to know what I want? Yes. He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. I want you to stop running. Stop apologizing. Stop making yourself small for people who don't deserve you. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. His voice dropped. You think I do this for everyone? I don't. But 6 months ago, I watched you serve pastries to people who treated you like furniture, and something in me decided, not her, she doesn't get to disappear. Lena's breath caught. Why? Because I know what it's like. The admission seemed to cost him. To be invisible, to build walls so high no one can reach you, and I'm tired of watching it happen to someone else. So this is about you. Maybe, partly. He didn't look away. But it's also about you, and what you could be if you stopped being afraid. I'm not afraid. You're terrified. His voice was soft, brutal, of success, of failure, of being seen. So you hide in kitchens and make beautiful things and let other people take credit. And I'm done watching it. Lena's eyes burned. You don't get to fix me. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm trying to give you space to fix yourself. By putting my father in the hospital. By showing you that you don't have to keep taking hits. Dorian's jaw tightened. He hurt you. I made sure he won't do it again. If that makes me a monster, fine. But at least you're safe. I'm not safe. The police are investigating you. Let them. They won't find anything. How can you be so sure? Because I'm careful and because I have resources. He paused. But if you want out, if you want to walk away from all of this, I'll let you. No strings. No consequences. The offer hung in the air, impossible and terrifying. I don't believe you, Lena whispered. Try me. She stared at him, searching for the lie. But his face was open, honest in a way that made her chest ache. If I walk away, she said slowly, what happens to my apartment? My job? The apartment's yours. Lease is in your name. I already paid 6 months. He didn't blink. The job is Margot's decision, not mine. But I won't interfere either way. And my father? I'll leave him alone. As long as he leaves you alone. Lena's throat tightened. Why would you do that? Because you asked. The simplicity of it broke something in her. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to hold herself together. I don't know what to do, she whispered. Then don't decide now. Dorian's voice gentled. Sleep on it. We'll talk tomorrow. He turned to leave. Dorian, he looked back. If I stay, if I don't walk away, what happens? His eyes darkened. We move forward. You build your life. I make sure no one stops you. And us? What about us? What are we? He was quiet for a long time. Then, I don't know yet, but I want to find out. The honesty in his voice made her ache. Tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow. He left. Lena went inside, climbed the stairs, and locked herself in her apartment. She stood in the shower until the water ran cold, trying to wash away the blood, the fear, the terrible weight of choice. When she finally crawled into bed, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You have 24 hours to come in for questioning. After that, we get a warrant. Detective Reeves. Lena stared at the message, heart pounding. She could cooperate, tell them everything, distance herself from Dorian before this got worse. Or she could stay silent, trust him, and risk everything. She set the phone down, closed her eyes, and tried to sleep. She didn't, en bâtisse. Morning came too fast. Lena sat at her kitchen table, coffee untouched, staring at her phone. The detective's number glowed on the screen. All she had to do was call. Instead, she called Dorian. He answered immediately. Decision? I'm not walking away. Silence. Then, you're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Why? Because you're right. The admission hurt. I'm tired of being invisible. And if staying with you means I have to fight, then I'll fight. The police? I'm not talking to them. Lena, I'm not. Her voice was firm. Whatever happens, I'm not giving them anything. Another pause. Longer this time. Okay? Okay? You're making a choice. I respect that. His voice shifted, businesslike. Don't answer any calls from numbers you don't recognize. If they show up at your door, don't let them in. And if they try to question you at work, tell them to contact your lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. You do now. I'll text you his information. Lena's hands shook. This is really happening. Yes. I could go to jail. You won't. How do you know? Because I won't let you. The certainty in his voice should have been arrogant. Instead, it felt like a lifeline. Trust me. I'm trying. That's enough. They hung up. 5 minutes later, her phone buzzed. Contact information for a lawyer named David Chen, no relation to Marcus, apparently. She saved it, feeling the weight of what she'd just committed to. No turning back now. The day passed in a blur. Lena went to work, moved through her tasks on autopilot. Margot watched her but didn't ask questions. The other kitchen staff gave her space, whispering when they thought she couldn't hear. At 3 p.m., 2 detectives walked in. Lena recognized the woman. Detective Reeves, tall and sharp-eyed. The man with her was older, gray-haired, expression unreadable. Lena Varelli? Reeves flashed a badge. We need to ask you some questions. Margot appeared from nowhere. Not in my kitchen, you don't. This won't take long. I don't care if it takes 5 seconds. She's working. Come back with a warrant or get out. The male detective's jaw tightened. Ma'am, we're investigating a serious assault. Then investigate somewhere else. Margot crossed her arms. My lawyer will be very interested to hear you're harassing my employees at work. Reeves and her partner exchanged glances. Then Reeves pulled out a card, set it on the counter in front of Lena. When you're ready to talk, and you will be, call me. They left. Lena's hands were shaking so hard she couldn't hold her piping bag. Margot took it from her. Go home. I'm fine. You're not. And I don't need you having a breakdown in my kitchen. Her voice was firm. Go. Come back tomorrow. Lena didn't argue this time. She grabbed her coat and left through the back exit, half expecting the detectives to be waiting. They weren't. She made it 2 blocks before her phone rang. Dorian. They came to Margot. I know. Are you okay? They left. Good. Where are you now? Walking home. Don't. There's a car 3 blocks south of you. Black sedan. Get in. Lena stopped walking. How do you... I have someone watching you, just in case. You're having me followed? I'm keeping you safe. No apology in his voice. Get in the car, Lena. She wanted to be angry, wanted to feel violated, but mostly she felt relieved. She found the car. The driver was a woman in her 30s, professional, silent. She opened the back door. Lena got in. They drove for 20 minutes, winding through the city, until they pulled up to a building she didn't recognize. Expensive, private, the kind of place with a doorman who nodded like he'd been expecting her. Inside, the elevator required a key card. The driver handed her one. Top floor. Lena rode up alone. The doors opened directly into a penthouse, different from Dorian's, bigger, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. Dorian stood by the window, phone to his ear. He glanced at her, held up a finger. 1 minute. Lena waited, taking in the space. Minimalist furniture, abstract art, everything expensive and cold. He finished his call, pocketed his phone. Sorry. Where are we? Safe house. I keep a few around the city. Why am I here? Because the police are watching your apartment, and Margot's, and probably my building too. He walked to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of whiskey. You're staying here tonight. You can't just... I can, and I am. He handed her a glass. Drink. She did. It burned going down, but the warmth helped. How bad is this? She asked. Manageable. They don't have anything concrete, just suspicions. They know you put my father in the hospital. They suspect. Knowing and proving are different things. He sat on the couch, gestured for her to join him. Your father isn't pressing charges. Won't give them a statement. That makes this harassment, not investigation. Why wouldn't he press charges? Dorian's smile was cold. Because he's smart enough to know what happens if he does. Lena sat down, keeping distance between them. You threatened him again. I made sure he understood the situation. Which is what? That if he cooperates with the police, I'll make sure every dirty deal he's ever made goes public. Tax evasion, health code violations, paying workers under the table. Dorian sipped his whiskey. Your father's not clean, Lena. No one is, and I have documentation. Her stomach turned. How long have you been investigating him? Since the wedding. Why? Because I needed leverage, in case it came to this. Lena set her glass down, hands shaking. You've been planning this, all of it. I've been preparing. There's a difference. Is there? She stood, pacing. You had me investigated. My family. You orchestrated everything. I gave you options. You made the choices. Did I? Or did you just make me think I had choices? Dorian was quiet. Then he stood, walked to the window. You want the truth? Yes. When I saw you at that expo, I was curious. So I looked into you, found out about your father, your sister, the way they treated you, and I decided if the opportunity came, I'd offer you a way out. So you waited. I waited. For what? For you to break. He turned to face her. I knew it would happen eventually. People like your father always push too far. So I stayed close, and when you called me that night, he paused. I was ready. Lena felt cold. You used me. I gave you a choice you wouldn't have had otherwise. That's not the same thing. Isn't it? His voice was calm, relentless. You were drowning, Lena. I threw you a rope. You can hate how I did it, but you're still alive. I'm trapped. You're free. You just don't see it yet. Lena's vision blurred. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to breathe. I don't know who you are. Yes, you do. He stepped closer. I'm the man who saw you when no one else did, who gave you space to become something more, and who's willing to burn everything down to keep you safe. That's insane. Maybe. He didn't deny it, but it's true. She looked at him, really looked, saw the coldness in his eyes, the calculation, but also something else, something that looked almost like need. What do you want from me? She whispered. I want you to choose. Choose what? This. Us. The life we're building. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Or walk away. Right now. I'll drive you to the airport, give you enough money to start over anywhere you want, and you'll never hear from me again. The offer was real. She could see it in his face. And if I stay, then we finish this, together. Lena's heart pounded. She thought about her apartment, her job, the fragile life she'd started building. Thought about the police, her father, the danger closing in. Thought about Dorian's hand on her face, warm and steady. I don't trust you, she said. I know. I don't even like you. Liar. She almost smiled. Almost. This is a mistake. Probably. I'm going to regret it. Maybe. His thumb brushed her cheek. But you're still choosing it. And she was, despite everything. Despite the fear and the doubt and the voice in her head screaming that this was wrong. She leaned into his hand, closed her eyes. If this goes bad, it won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't soft or careful or any of the things first kisses were supposed to be. It was desperate and demanding and tasted like whiskey and decisions that couldn't be unmade. Lena kissed him back, fingers curling into his shirt, pulling him closer. Because if she was going to burn, she might as well choose the fire. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dorian rested his forehead against hers. No going back now, he murmured. I know. You scared? Terrified. Good. His smile was dangerous. That means you're paying attention. They spent the night at the safe house. Didn't sleep. Talked instead about childhood, scars, the ways they'd both learned to survive. Dorian told her about growing up poor, about clawing his way into money and power through deals that weren't always legal, about the people he'd hurt to get where he was. Lena told him about disappearing into kitchens, about learning to make herself small so her father wouldn't notice her mistakes, about the sister who'd been her best friend until she wasn't. They didn't fix anything, didn't solve the problems closing in. But for one night, they weren't alone. Morning came with bad news. Dorian's phone rang at 6 a.m. He answered, listened, his expression going dark. When? A pause. How bad? He hung up, looked at Lena. Your father's talking. Her blood went cold. What? He gave a statement to the police, says I threatened him, that you were there. That's a lie. Doesn't matter. They have enough for a warrant now. He stood, already moving. We need to leave, now. Where? Somewhere they can't find us, just for a few days. Lena's mind spun. This is insane. This is survival. He grabbed his keys. You coming? She should have said no, should have walked away, called a lawyer, cooperated with the police. Instead, she grabbed her jacket. Let's go. They left through a private garage, got into an unmarked car. Dorian drove fast, silent, jaw tight. Lena watched the city blur past and realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She was running, with a man who might be saving her or destroying her, and she had no idea which. Her phone buzzed. A text from Camilla. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. Lena stared at the message, then turned her phone off. Maybe she was. But it was her mistake to make. And for the first time in 28 years, she was choosing her own destruction, even if it killed her. They drove for 3 hours before Dorian spoke. There's a property upstate, off the grid. No one knows about it. Lena watched the highway blur past, her reflection ghostly in the window. How long do we stay? Until I figure out our next move. And if you can't? He didn't answer. The property turned out to be a cabin, though calling it that felt wrong. It was too nice, too deliberate. Stone and timber, nestled in trees so thick the sunlight barely touched the ground. A generator hummed somewhere out of sight. Inside, it smelled like cedar and disuse. Dorian dropped their bags by the door, moved through the space checking windows, locks, sightlines. Military precision. Lena stood in the center of the living room, arms wrapped around herself. How long have you had this place? 5 years. You've been planning to run for 5 years? I've been planning for contingencies. He disappeared into a back room, returned with a laptop. I don't run, but I'm always ready to. What's the difference? He looked at her then, really looked. Running is panic. This is strategy. Lena laughed. It came out bitter. Feels like panic to me. That's because you're not used to fighting. He set up the laptop on the dining table, fingers already flying across keys. You're used to hiding. That's not fair. It's true. He didn't look up. You spent 28 years making yourself invisible. Now you're visible and you don't know how to handle it. Lena's hands clenched. You don't get to... I'm not judging. I'm stating facts. His eyes flicked to her. You want to survive this? You need to get comfortable being seen, being targeted, being the person everyone's looking at. I didn't ask for any of this. Yes, you did. The second you called me. The truth of it stung. Lena turned away, stared out the window at the trees. My father's going to destroy you. He's going to try. The police are building a case on circumstantial evidence and a witness who's committed enough crimes to fill a filing cabinet. Dorian's voice was calm, calculating. Your father thinks he's in control. He's not. You sound very sure. I am. Lena turned back to him. Why? Because I have something he doesn't. Which is? You. The word hung in the air, simple and devastating. I'm not a weapon, Lena said quietly. No, you're the reason he's desperate. Dorian closed the laptop, stood. Lorenzo Varelli built his entire identity on control. His business, his daughters, his reputation. You walking away shattered that, and now he's scrambling to get it back. By putting you in prison. By trying to. Dorian walked to the window, stood beside her. But he made a mistake. What mistake? He gave a statement, put his name on record, which means everything he says can be fact-checked. His smile was cold. And I have very good fact-checkers. Lena's stomach twisted. What are you going to do? What I should have done weeks ago. End this. How? By giving the police what they really want, a bigger fish. Understanding dawned slowly, then all at once. You're going to turn on someone. I'm going to give them Lorenzo Varelli's entire operation. Tax fraud, health code violations, undocumented workers, bribes to city inspectors. Dorian's voice was matter of fact. By the time I'm done, your father won't have time to worry about me. He'll be too busy trying to stay out of federal prison. Lena couldn't breathe. That'll destroy him. Yes. His business, his reputation, everything. Yes. And you're fine with that. Dorian turned to face her. He tried to destroy you first. I'm just returning the favor. He's still my father. He stopped being your father the night he threw you out. We've been over this. His jaw tightened. You want me to stop? Say the word. I'll walk away. Let him win, and you can go back to being invisible. Lena stared at him, heart pounding. She thought about her father's face at the wedding, the eviction notice, Camilla's vicious smile, 28 years of being erased. Do it, she whispered. Dorian's eyes darkened. You're sure? I'm sure. There's no taking it back. I know. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. He went back to the laptop. Lena watched him work, fingers flying, pulling up files, making calls. His voice was low, controlled, giving orders to people she couldn't see. She walked to the kitchen, found whiskey in a cabinet, poured herself a glass. Her hands shook. She drank anyway. Outside, the sun was setting. Inside, her father's world was ending. And she'd given the order. The explosion came at midnight. Not literal, but close. Lena jerked awake to Dorian's phone ringing, his voice sharp in the darkness. When? A pause. How bad? She sat up, heart hammering. Dorian was already out of bed, pulling on clothes. What happened? Your father knows. He grabbed his keys. Someone tipped him off. He's making moves. What kind of moves? The desperate kind. Dorian's face was grim. He just filed for bankruptcy, liquidating everything, trying to hide assets before the feds can freeze them. Lena's stomach dropped. Can he do that? He's trying, but it won't work. Dorian was at the door. Stay here. Lock everything. Don't answer the door for anyone. Where are you going? To make sure your father doesn't run. Dorian. But he was already gone. Lena stood in the empty cabin, pulse racing. She checked the locks, checked the windows, then sat on the couch with a kitchen knife in her lap, waiting. 3 hours later, Dorian came back. He looked like he'd been in a fight, knuckles bloody, shirt torn. He walked past her without speaking, straight to the bathroom. Lena followed. What happened? Your father tried to leave the country. Dorian turned on the sink, washed his hands. Water ran red. I stopped him. Is he alive? Yes. In custody? Also yes. He dried his hands, winced. The feds picked him up at the airport. Trying to flee is as good as an admission of guilt. Lena leaned against the door frame. It's over? Almost. He met her eyes in the mirror. There's still one problem. What? Camilla. The name hit like a fist. What about her? She's been calling everyone, the press, the police, your father's lawyers. Dorian's voice was flat. She's trying to spin this. Make you the villain. Says you seduced me to destroy your family. Lena's laugh was jagged. That's insane. That's public opinion. He turned to face her. She's giving interviews, crying on camera, playing the victim. Let her. It's not that simple. She's building a narrative, and narratives have power. He paused. You need to fight back. How? Tell your story. On record. Lena's chest tightened. I can't. You can. And you will. His voice was firm. Because if you don't, she wins. And everything we've done, everything you've risked, was for nothing. I don't know how to do that. I'll teach you. He stepped closer. But you need to decide right now. Are you ready to stop hiding? Lena stared at him, fear and fury warring in her chest. She thought about Camilla's face at the wedding, her father's dismissal, a lifetime of being voiceless. Yes, she said. Good. Dorian pulled out his phone. I have a contact at Channel 7, investigative journalist. She'll listen. When? Tomorrow morning. We go back to the city. The police? Bookie. Won't touch you. Your father's statement is worthless now. And I have documentation proving everything I said. His eyes were steady. You're safe. But only if you speak up. Lena nodded, throat tight. Get some sleep, Dorian said. Tomorrow's going to be hell. She didn't sleep. Spent the night rehearsing what she'd say, how she'd say it. By dawn, her voice was hoarse from whispering to herself. They drove back as the sun rose, city skyline emerging from mist like a promise or a threat. The interview took place in a nondescript office building downtown. The journalist was a woman named Rachel Kim, early 40s, sharp eyes, recorder already running. Start from the beginning, Rachel said. So Lena did. She told her about the wedding, the cake, the eviction notice, her father's cruelty and Camilla's complicity. She told her about calling Dorian, about the apartment, about learning to exist outside her family's shadow. And she told her about the night everything broke. My father tried to intimidate me into coming back. When that didn't work, he destroyed my workplace, left a message calling me a whore. Lena's voice was steady now, stronger. He wanted me to know I'd never be safe, that I'd always be his to control. And Dorian Wolf? Rachel's voice was neutral. What's his role in this? He gave me a choice, to stay invisible or fight back. I chose to fight. By helping him investigate your father? By telling the truth. Lena met Rachel's eyes. My father's business was built on exploitation, underpaid workers, bribed inspectors, fraud. I watched it for years, and I stayed silent because I was afraid. And now? Now I'm not. Rachel made notes. Your sister claims you're lying, that you're trying to destroy your family because you were jealous of her success. Lena's jaw tightened. My sister has spent her whole life taking credit for other people's work, including mine. She's not the victim here. She's the accomplice. That's a strong accusation. It's the truth. Lena pulled out her phone, showed Rachel photos. These are emails, messages, documentation of every cake, every pastry, every creation I made that she claimed is hers. I have years of proof. Rachel's eyebrows rose. She examined the phone, made more notes. This is good, she said quietly. This is very good. The interview lasted 2 hours. When it was over, Rachel shook Lena's hand. This goes live tomorrow night. You ready for the fallout? No, Lena said honestly, but I'm doing it anyway. Rachel smiled. Good answer, Ahmad. The interview aired at 6 p.m. the next day. Lena watched from Dorian's penthouse, hands clenched, barely breathing. She looked small on screen, tired, but her voice was steady, her story clear. By 7, social media was on fire. By 8, Camilla's publicist issued a statement calling Lena a liar. By 9, 3 more women had come forward with stories about Lorenzo Virelli's business practices. By 10, the feds announced an expanded investigation. Lena sat on Dorian's couch, watching her life explode across every news channel, and felt something crack open in her chest. Not fear, not anymore. Relief. You did it, Dorian said quietly. We did it. No. He turned to look at her. You did. I just gave you the tools. Lena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You just destroyed this family. I hope you're happy. Camilla. Lena stared at the message, then typed back. I am. She blocked the number. What now? She asked Dorian. Now you build. Build what? Whatever you want. He poured them both whiskey. You're free, Lena. Actually free. No father controlling you, no sister stealing your work. Just you and whatever you choose to do next. Lena took the glass, drank. The whiskey burned, but she didn't care. I want my own place, she said. You have one. No, I want my own business, an atelier, my name on the door. Dorian's smile was slow, dangerous. Then let's make it happen. Heck. 3 weeks later, Lena signed a lease on a storefront in the Arts District. It was small, needed work. The previous tenant had left it gutted, bare walls, concrete floors, exposed pipes. Perfect. She spent every waking hour renovating, painting walls, installing equipment, building the kitchen she'd dreamed about for years. Dorian helped. Not with money, she'd refuse that, but with connections. Contractors who owed him favors, suppliers willing to extend credit, a designer who worked for trade. Margot came by on the second week, looked around, nodded approval. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. Good. Margot handed her an envelope. From me, consider it an investment. Inside was a check, enough to cover 6 months of inventory. Lena's eyes burned. I can't. You can. And you will. Margot smiled. I believe in you. Time you believed in yourself. The atelier opened on a Tuesday in October. No grand opening, no press, just a small sign in the window. Virelli Atelier. Pastries by Lena. Her name. Finally. The first customer was a teenager buying a birthday cake. The second was a woman ordering wedding cupcakes. By closing, Lena had 12 orders and 3 inquiries about catering. She locked the door, turned off the lights, and sat in her kitchen, and cried. Not from sadness, from relief, from exhaustion, from the overwhelming weight of actually succeeding. Her phone buzzed. Dorian. How'd it go? Lena. Sold out by noon. Dorian. Told you. Lena. Shut up. Dorian. Come over, I'll cook. She should have been too tired, should have gone home, collapsed in bed. Instead, she grabbed her jacket and left. Met. Dorian's penthouse smelled like garlic and wine when she arrived. He was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, stirring something that smelled incredible. He looked up when she walked in, smiled. You look like hell. Thanks. I mean it as a compliment. He poured her wine. Success looks good on you. Lena drank, let herself relax for the first time in weeks. It feels weird. What does? Being happy. She set the glass down. I keep waiting for something to go wrong. Something probably will. That's life. He plated food, pasta, simple and perfect. But you'll handle it. How do you know? Because you already have. They ate in comfortable silence. Lena realized this was the first meal she'd had where she wasn't thinking about her father, her sister, the police, just food and wine and the man across from her. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? Everything. The apartment, the job, the atelier connections, all of it. Dorian set down his fork. You don't owe me thanks. Yes, I do. No, you owe yourself for having the guts to walk away. He leaned back. I just cleared the path. You did more than that. Maybe. His eyes were dark, unreadable. But you're the one who walked it. Lena's chest tightened. She stood, walked to the window, stared out at the city lights. What are we doing? She asked. What do you mean? This. Us. She turned to face him. I don't know what this is. Dorian stood, walked over, stopped a foot away. What do you want it to be? I don't know. Her voice was barely a whisper. I just know I don't want to lose it. You won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. Then he kissed her. Slow this time. Deliberate. Like he had all the time in the world. When they broke apart, Lena rested her forehead against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. I'm scared, she whispered. Of what? That this is too good. That I'll wake up and it'll be gone. It won't. How do you know? Because I don't let go of things I want. His hand cupped her face, tilted it up. And I want you. The honesty in his voice made her ache. This is insane, she said. Probably. We barely know each other. I know enough. Dorian? Lena. His thumb brushed her cheek. Stop thinking. Just feel. So she did. She let herself feel the warmth of his hands, the steadiness of his presence. Let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could work. They spent the night tangled together, talking and touching and learning each other's scars. And for the first time in her life, Lena felt seen, not as someone's daughter, not as the help, not as invisible, just as herself. The peace lasted 3 days. On Thursday, the window of Lena's atelier shattered. She wasn't there when it happened, thank God. But the call from the police came at 2 a.m., jolting her awake in Dorian's bed. Ms. Varelli, this is Officer Martinez. Your business has been vandalized. She was there in 15 minutes, Dorian right behind her. The storefront was destroyed, glass everywhere. Flour and sugar dumped across the floor, equipment smashed, and spray painted across the wall in red. Traitor. Lena stood in the wreckage, shaking. Dorian walked through the space, jaw tight, cataloging damage. This was planned, he said quietly. My father is in federal custody. This wasn't him. Dorian crouched, examined the spray paint. This is fresh. Whoever did this wanted to send a message. What message? He stood, face grim. That you're not safe. Lena's stomach dropped. Camilla? Maybe. Or someone she hired. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling security. You're not staying here alone anymore. I can't just You can, and you will. His voice was firm. This isn't negotiable. Lena wanted to argue, but standing in her destroyed kitchen, surrounded by everything she'd built, she couldn't find the words. The police took statements, promised to investigate, left. Dorian made calls. By dawn, there were security cameras being installed, new locks. A guard stationed outside. Lena sat on the curb, watching the sunrise, and felt something harden in her chest. She was done running, done hiding. I want to talk to her, she said. Dorian looked up from his phone. Who? Camilla. That's a bad idea. I don't care. Lena stood, jaw set. She wants a war? Fine. Let's finish this. Dorian studied her, then nodded. I'll set it up. How? She's been trying to reach you for weeks. Let her think you're ready to talk. His smile was cold. Then we'll see what she really wants. The meeting happened 2 days later. Neutral ground. A cafe downtown. Public enough to be safe, private enough to talk. Camilla arrived 10 minutes late, wearing designer sunglasses and an expression Lena couldn't read. She sat down across from her sister, removed the glasses. Her eyes were red. "You look terrible," Lena said. "So do you." They stared at each other. Lena waited. "Why did you do it?" Camilla asked finally. "Which part?" "All of it. The interview, the evidence, destroying Papa." "I didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself." "That's bullshit, and you know it," Camilla's voice cracked. "He's losing everything, the business, the house, his reputation, because of you, because of his choices." "You're so self-righteous." Camilla leaned forward. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're just bitter." "Maybe, but at least I'm honest." "Honest?" Camilla laughed. It sounded broken. "You're sleeping with a criminal. You think that makes you better than us?" "I think it makes me free." "Free?" Camilla's face twisted. "You're trapped. Dorian Wolf owns you just like Papa did. You just traded one cage for another." "That's not true." "Isn't it?" Camilla pulled out her phone, showed Lena photos. "He's been watching you for months. Before you even called him, he had investigators following you, documenting everything." Lena's blood ran cold. "Where did you get these?" "Papa's lawyer. They're building a case, stalking, harassment, manipulation." Camilla's voice was almost gentle. "Dorian didn't save you, Lena. He targeted you." "You're lying." "Am I?" Camilla slid the phone across. "Look at the dates." Lena looked. Photos of her at work, at home, at the grocery store, time-stamped weeks before the wedding. Her hands shook. "He's using you," Camilla said quietly, "to get to Papa, to expand his territory. You're just a pawn." "No." "Yes." Camilla reached across the table. "Come home. We'll figure this out. As a family." Lena jerked back. "We're not a family. We never were." "Lena, you stood there and watched Papa humiliate me. You took credit for my work. You called me nothing." Lena's voice was shaking. "And now you want me to believe you care?" "I'm trying to protect you." "From what? Freedom?" Lena stood. "I'd rather be Dorian's pawn than Papa's ghost." She walked out. Camilla didn't follow. But her words followed. All the way back to the atelier where Dorian was waiting. He took one look at her face. "What happened? Did you have me followed? Before the wedding?" His expression didn't change. "Yes." The honesty was a slap. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it didn't matter." "It matters to me." "Why?" He stepped closer. "I watched you because I saw potential. Because I knew what your family was doing to you, and I wanted proof." "Proof for what?" "For this." He gestured at the atelier. "For giving you a way out. For making sure when the time came, I had everything I needed to protect you." "That's not protection. That's manipulation." "It's both." He didn't apologize. "And it worked." Lena felt something crack. "You're no different than my father." "I'm nothing like your father." Dorian's voice went cold. "He erased you. I saw you. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Because from where I'm standing, you both just wanted control." "I wanted you safe." "You wanted me dependent. I wanted you alive." His control finally broke. "You think I did this for fun? I watched you disappear for 6 months. Watched you apologize for existing. And I knew if I didn't do something, you'd spend the rest of your life being nobody." "That wasn't your choice to make." "Then whose? Yours?" He laughed, bitter. "You couldn't even order coffee without apologizing. You think you would have walked away on your own?" The words hit like fists, because he was right, and she hated him for it. "Get out," she whispered. "Lena, get out!" He stared at her, then grabbed his jacket and left. Lena stood in her kitchen, her perfect, destroyed, rebuilt kitchen, and felt everything she'd built start to crumble. Her phone buzzed. "Camilla, I'm sorry. Come home, please." Lena stared at the message. Then she threw her phone across the room. It shattered against the wall, just like everything else. Washik. She spent the night at the atelier, couldn't bear to go back to her apartment, couldn't stomach calling Dorian. At 3 a.m., there was a knock. Lena grabbed a knife, heart pounding. Who is it? Margot. She opened the door. Margot stood there with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Heard you had a shit day. Lena almost cried. Instead, she let Margot in. They sat on the floor, drinking straight from the bottle, and Lena told her everything. When she finished, Margot was quiet. You love him, she finally said. What? Dorian. You love him. That's insane. I barely know him. You know enough to let him into your life, your business, your bed. Margot took a drink. And you're pissed because he's not perfect. He manipulated me. He protected you. By lying. By doing what you couldn't. Margot's voice was gentle. You want him to be a hero. But he's just a man. A fucked up, controlling, dangerous man who saw something in you worth saving. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it real. Margot stood, helped Lena up. You want perfect? Stay alone. You want real? Forgive him. I don't know if I can. Then figure it out. Because that man burned half the city to keep you safe. And if you walk away now, you're just proving your father right. About what? That you're too afraid to be seen. The words hit Lena's chest like a hammer. Margot kissed her forehead. Get some sleep. Make a decision in the morning. Then she left. Lena sat alone in her atelier, Margot's words echoing. Outside, the city was waking up. And somewhere, Dorian was waiting for her choice. The choice that would decide everything. Morning came with clarity, cold and unforgiving. Lena stood in her atelier surrounded by the debris of her shattered phone and made a decision. Not about Dorian, not yet. About herself. She called a contractor, got estimates on repairs. Then she called her suppliers, her customers, everyone who'd placed orders. She explained what happened, vandalism, nothing more, and promised their orders would be ready on time. Most stayed, a few canceled. She didn't blame them. By noon, she had a plan. By 3, she was working. Flour under her nails, batter on her apron, the rhythm of creation drowning out the noise in her head. She didn't call Dorian. He called her at 7. She didn't answer. At 8, he showed up anyway. Lena heard the knock, wiped her hands, considered ignoring it, then opened the door. Dorian stood there looking like he hadn't slept, hair disheveled, shirt wrinkled, shadows under his eyes that made him look almost human. I'm working, Lena said. I know. He didn't move to come in. Can we talk? I don't know what there is to say. Then let me say it. He waited. When she didn't close the door, he continued. You're right. I manipulated you. I watched you, documented you, planned everything before you even knew my name. Lena's jaw tightened. I don't want to hear this. Too bad. You're going to. His voice was rough, honest in a way that made her chest ache. I saw you at that expo and I thought, there's someone who's dying inside and doesn't even know it. Someone so used to disappearing she's forgotten how to exist. That's not... It is. And I recognized it because I've been there. He ran a hand through his hair. You think I built this life because I'm strong? I built it because I was terrified of being poor again, of being powerless, of being the kid everyone looked through like glass. Lena's breath caught. She'd never heard him talk like this. So when I saw you, Dorian continued, I made a choice, a selfish one. I decided if the opportunity came, I'd give you what no one gave me, a way out. By stalking me? By being ready. When you called that night, I had everything prepared. The apartment, the job, the connections. Because I knew you'd need them. That's still manipulation. Yes. He didn't flinch. But it's also the truth. I manipulated you into freedom, and I'd do it again. The honesty was brutal. Lena wanted to be angry, wanted to slam the door in his face, but something in his eyes stopped her. Why? She whispered. Because you deserved better, and no one else was going to give it to you. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He stepped closer. You want me to apologize for seeing you, for wanting you safe? I won't, but I will apologize for not telling you sooner, for making you feel like you didn't have a choice. Lena's throat burned. I don't know if I can trust you. I know. His voice was soft. But I'm asking you to try. Why should I? Because we're the same, you and me. Both of us clawing our way out of holes other people dug. Both of us too stubborn to stay buried. He held her gaze. You don't have to love me. You don't even have to like me. But don't walk away because you're afraid. I'm not afraid. You're terrified. Of this working. Of being happy. Of someone actually staying. His jaw tightened. Your father left you. Emotionally, at least. Your sister betrayed you, and now you're waiting for me to do the same. Lena's vision blurred. Stop! I won't leave, Lena. Not unless you tell me to. The promise hung between them, fragile and fierce. Lena pressed her hands to her face, trying to breathe. This is insane. Probably. We barely know each other. We know enough. Dorian? Lena. He reached out, gentle, gave her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face. I'm not perfect. I'm controlling and dangerous, and I solve problems with violence. But I see you, and I'm not going anywhere. She looked at him, really looked, saw the exhaustion, the fear, the desperate hope he was trying to hide. And she made a choice. Okay, she whispered. His eyes widened. Okay, I'm still angry, and I still don't completely trust you, but, she swallowed. I'm willing to try. The relief on his face was almost painful to watch. That's enough, he said. That's more than enough. Then he kissed her, soft this time, careful, like she was something precious that might break. When they pulled apart, Lena rested her forehead against his chest. If you lie to me again, I won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. He tilted her chin up. I'm done hiding. From you, from anyone. You want honesty? You'll get it. Even when it hurts. Lena nodded, throat tight. They stood there, holding each other in her destroyed atelier, and Lena felt something shift. Not fixed, not healed, but possible. Help me clean up? She asked. Dorian smiled. Yeah. They worked until midnight, sweeping glass, scrubbing paint, salvaging what they could. It was quiet work, meditative. By the time they finished, the atelier looked less like a crime scene and more like a space waiting to be reborn. Lena stood in the center, exhausted, and felt something close to peace. What now? Dorian asked. Now I rebuild. Again. She looked at him. And you help, if you want. I want. Good. She grabbed her jacket. Because I'm not doing this alone anymore. They left together, locking the door behind them. Outside, the city hummed with late-night energy. Lena breathed it in, felt it settle in her bones. She wasn't invisible anymore, and she was done apologizing for it. Whoosh. The rebuilding took 3 weeks. New windows, new equipment, a security system that would make a bank jealous. Dorian handled the contractors, but Lena handled the vision. Every detail was hers. The color of the walls, the layout of the kitchen, the logo on the sign. Virelli Atelier. Her name. Her space. Her rules. The reopening happened on a Saturday in November. Lena woke early, nerves jangling, and found Dorian already in her kitchen making coffee. You ready? He asked. No. Good. That means you care. She drank the coffee, tried to eat, failed. By 8, they were at the atelier. By 9, there was a line outside. Lena stared at it through the window. That's publicity from the interview. People want to support you. Dorian squeezed her hand. You earned this. She opened the doors at 10. The rush was immediate. Orders for cakes, pastries, custom work. People who'd read her story, who wanted to taste what she made. Who saw her as something more than Lorenzo Virelli's forgotten daughter. By noon, she was sold out. By 2, she had a waiting list 3 weeks long. Margot showed up at closing, took one look at Lena's exhausted, exhilarated face, and grinned. You did it. I can't believe it. Believe it. Margot handed her champagne. You're officially a success. They drank straight from the bottle, sitting on the floor of the atelier, laughing until Lena's ribs hurt. When Margot left, Dorian appeared. I have something for you, he said. What? He handed her an envelope. Inside was a deed to the building, her atelier. Lena's hands shook. Dorian, I can't. You can, and you will. His voice was firm. It's in your name, fully paid, no strings. This is too much. It's not enough. He stepped closer. You deserve to own your success, not rent it, not lease it. Own it. Lena's eyes burned. Why are you doing this? Because I can, and because you'd do the same for someone you cared about. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. I can't pay you back, Lena whispered. I'm not asking you to. He cupped her face. This isn't a loan. It's a gift. Accept it. She stared at him, throat tight, then threw her arms around his neck and held on. Thank you, she whispered. You're welcome. They stood there, wrapped in each other, and Lena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The confrontation with her family came 2 weeks later. Lena hadn't planned it, but walking out of a supplier meeting downtown, she nearly collided with her father on the sidewalk. Lorenzo Varelli looked older, thinner. The federal case had aged him, carved lines into his face that hadn't been there before. They stared at each other. Lena, he said finally. Papa. The word felt foreign in her mouth. He glanced around, clearly uncomfortable. Can we talk? Every instinct screamed no, but Lena nodded. 5 minutes. They found a coffee shop, sat across from each other in uncomfortable silence. Lorenzo ordered espresso. Didn't drink it. You look good, he said. Thanks. I heard about your business. It's doing well. It is. More silence. Lorenzo's hands clenched around his cup. I'm sorry, he said finally. Lena blinked. What? For the wedding, for the eviction, for... His voice cracked. For everything. She'd imagined this moment 1,000 times. Thought she'd feel vindicated, triumphant. Instead, she just felt tired. Why now? She asked. Because I'm losing everything. The business is gone. The house is in foreclosure, and I realized... He looked at her, eyes wet. I already lost the thing that mattered most. Lena's chest tightened. You didn't lose me. You threw me away. I know. You called me nothing. You erased me. You stood there and let Camilla take credit for my work. I know. His voice broke. And I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Lena wanted to believe him, wanted to think this was real, but she'd learned the hard way that sorry didn't fix anything. I forgive you, she said quietly. Lorenzo's face lit up. Lena, but I don't want you in my life. The light died. You hurt me, Lena continued, voice steady. For years. And I spent so long trying to earn your love that I forgot I deserved it without trying. You do. You always did. I know that now, but I didn't learn it from you. She stood. I learned it from walking away. Lorenzo reached for her hand. She pulled back. I'm your father. You were. Once. Lena's voice was soft but final. But not anymore. She walked out. Lorenzo didn't follow. Outside, the air was cold and clean. Lena breathed it in, feeling lighter than she had in years. Her phone buzzed. Dorian. You okay? Lena. Yeah, I'm okay. And she was. Camilla came next. She showed up at the atelier on a Wednesday afternoon when the rush had died down. Lena was in the kitchen working on a wedding cake when she heard the bell. She looked up, froze. Camilla stood in the doorway, looking uncertain. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced with jeans and a sweater. She looked smaller somehow, less polished. Hi, Camilla said. Lena set down her piping bag. What do you want? To talk, if you'll let me. Lena wanted to say no, wanted to tell her to leave and never come back. But something in Camilla's face stopped her. 5 minutes, Lena said. They sat in the small office. Camilla twisted her hands in her lap. I'm sorry, she said, for everything. You already said that, at the cafe. I didn't mean it then. Camilla's voice cracked. I was trying to manipulate you, to get you to come home so Papa could fix things. I know. I mean it now. Camilla looked up, eyes red. You were right, about all of it. I took credit for your work. I stood by while Papa destroyed you, and I told myself it was okay because—" She swallowed. "Because I was scared if you shined, no one would look at me." Lena's throat tightened. "That's not how it works." "I know that now." Camilla wiped her eyes. "Losing everything, the business, the money, the reputation, it made me realize I built my entire life on taking from you, and now that it's gone, I have nothing." "So you came here for what? Absolution?" "No. I came to say I'm sorry, and that I'm proud of you." Camilla's voice broke. "You did what I never could. You walked away. You built something real." Lena stared at her sister, searching for the lie, but all she saw was exhaustion and regret. "I can't forgive you," Lena said quietly. "Not yet. I know. Maybe not ever." "I know," Camilla stood. "But I wanted you to know that I see you now, and I'm sorry it took losing everything to make me." She turned to leave. "Camilla," her sister looked back, "if you want to rebuild, actually rebuild, not take from someone else, I'll help." Camilla's eyes widened. "Why?" "Because someone gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it, and it changed everything." Lena's voice was firm. "One chance, that's all you get." Camilla nodded, throat working. "Thank you." She left. Lena sat alone in her office, staring at the space her sister had occupied, and felt something strange. Not forgiveness, not yet, but possibility. Okay. 6 months passed. The atelier became a fixture in the arts district. Lena hired staff, people who loved the craft, who understood what it meant to create something with your hands. She trained them herself, shared her techniques, built a team. Margot became a partner, investing not just money, but expertise. Together they created a business that was profitable and sustainable. Camilla came by once a week. She didn't ask for handouts. Instead, she enrolled in culinary school, started from scratch. Sometimes she'd work a shift at the atelier, washing dishes, prepping ingredients, learning the work she'd claimed for years. It was slow, painful, but something was growing there. Not sisterhood. Not yet. But the foundation of it. Lorenzo stayed away. Lena heard through the grapevine that he'd moved upstate, taken a job managing someone else's bakery. The federal case had been resolved with fines and probation. He'd lost everything but his freedom. Part of Lena felt sad about that. But only part. The larger part felt nothing at all. And Dorian. He was there. Not every day. Not smothering. But present in a way that mattered. He showed up when she needed him, gave her space when she didn't. They fought sometimes, his need for control clashing with her need for independence. But they learned to navigate it. On a Tuesday in May, Lena closed the atelier early and met him at his penthouse. He'd cooked. Actual food, not takeout. She raised an eyebrow. "What's the occasion?" "No occasion, just wanted to." They ate on the balcony, watching the sun set over the city. It was quiet, comfortable. "I've been thinking," Dorian said. "About?" "The future." He set down his fork. "What it looks like. What we want it to look like." Lena's pulse quickened. "And?" "And I want you in it, permanently." Her breath caught. "Dorian, I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet." He smiled. "But I'm asking if you'd consider it someday." Lena stared at him. 6 months ago, the question would have terrified her. Now, it just felt right. "Yeah," she said. "Someday." His smile widened. "Good." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights flicker on. "Thank you," Lena said quietly. "For what?" "For seeing me. When no one else did." Dorian reached across the table, took her hand. "Thank you for letting me." They stayed like that, fingers intertwined, watching the world turn. And Lena realized something. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was seen, known, loved, and she'd fought like hell to get here. Bashier. The final piece came together on a Saturday in June. Lena was at the atelier, preparing for a massive order, a corporate event, 300 people, when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then did. "Lena Virelli?" "Yes?" "This is Andrea Morrison from the James Beard Foundation." Lena's heart stopped. "I'm sorry, what?" We'd like to invite you to be a semi-finalist for our Rising Star Chef Award. The words didn't make sense. Lena sat down hard. Are you sure you have the right person? Andrea laughed. We're sure. Your work has been exceptional. Your story is inspiring, and we'd love to celebrate you. Lena's vision blurred. I thank you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept. Yes. Of course. Yes. They talked details, dates, requirements. When Lena hung up, her hands were shaking. She called Dorian. I'm a semi-finalist. For what? James Beard, Rising Star Chef. Silence. Then, holy shit. Lena laughed. It came out half sob. I know. I'm coming over. You don't have to eat. I'm coming over. He arrived 20 minutes later with champagne and a smile that made her chest ache. They celebrated in the atelier, just the two of them, toasting to everything they'd survived to get here. You did it, Dorian said. We did it. No. He cupped her face. This is yours. Your work, your vision, your name. Lena kissed him, slow and deep and full of everything she couldn't say. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. I love you, she whispered. It was the first time she'd said it. Dorian's eyes widened, then softened. I love you too. They held each other in the kitchen Lena had built from nothing, surrounded by the evidence of her success. And for the first time in her life, Lena felt complete. Not because someone saved her, but because she'd saved herself. The awards ceremony happened in September. Lena didn't win. She made top 10, which was more than she'd ever dreamed. But standing on that stage, her name projected on a screen behind her, being applauded by people who actually saw her work. That was the victory. Dorian was in the audience, front row, beaming. Camilla was there too, in the back. She caught Lena's eye and mouthed, "Proud of you." Lena nodded. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. After the ceremony, reporters swarmed. Lena answered questions, posed for photos, felt the weight of being seen. It was overwhelming, terrifying, and absolutely perfect. That night, back at the penthouse, Dorian poured champagne. To Lena Varelli, he said, who refused to stay invisible. To second chances, Lena countered, and the people who give them. They drank. Later, lying in bed, Dorian's arm around her, Lena stared at the ceiling. What are you thinking? He asked. That a year ago I was nobody, and now you were never nobody. You just couldn't see yourself yet. Lena turned to face him. Thank you for helping me see. Thank you for letting me. They fell asleep wrapped together, the city humming outside. And somewhere in the darkness, Lena's atelier stood waiting, her name in lights, her legacy building. She'd been invisible once, but not anymore. Never again. Sick. 5 years later. The atelier had expanded. 2 locations now. A staff of 15, a waiting list that stretched months. Lena stood in the original kitchen training a new hire, a girl barely 20, nervous and eager. You're doing fine, Lena said. Just trust yourself. The girl nodded, hands shaking as she piped frosting. Lena watched her and saw herself. 5 years ago, terrified and invisible. Can I ask you something? The girl said. Sure. How did you do it? Build all this? Lena thought about that night at the wedding, about Dorian's car pulling up, about choosing to fight instead of hide. I stopped apologizing for existing, she said simply, and I surrounded myself with people who saw me, really saw me. That's it? That's everything. The girl smiled, went back to work. Lena left her to it, walked through the atelier, checking on orders, greeting customers. In the corner, Camilla worked the register. She'd finished culinary school, earned her place on staff through actual work. They still weren't close. Maybe they never would be. But they were building something, slowly. Margot was in the office going over numbers. She looked up when Lena entered. We're up 15% this quarter. Seriously? Seriously. Margot grinned. You're a goddamn empire, Varelli. Lena laughed. We're an empire. Fair. At 6, Lena locked up and headed home. Home wasn't her old apartment anymore. She and Dorian had bought a place together, a loft downtown with huge windows and a kitchen Lena had designed herself. He was already there when she arrived, cooking dinner. "How was your day?" he asked. "Good. Busy." She kissed him. "Yours?" Same. They'd been married for 2 years. A small ceremony, just close friends, no family drama, no spectacle, just them, choosing each other. It wasn't perfect. They still fought, still struggled with Dorian's need for control and Lena's need for independence. But they worked at it, every day. "I saw your father today," Dorian said carefully. Lena froze. "Where?" "Downtown. He was walking, looked." Dorian paused. "Old." Lena was quiet. She hadn't spoken to Lorenzo in 5 years, hadn't seen him. Part of her wondered if she ever would again. "How did you feel?" she asked. "Seeing him?" "Nothing." Dorian's voice was honest. "He's just a man who hurt you. He doesn't get to matter anymore." Lena nodded, felt the truth of that settle. Lorenzo Varelli had been her whole world once, her measure of worth, her reason for disappearing. Now he was just someone she used to know. "I'm okay with that," she said. "Good." They ate dinner, talked about their days, made plans for the weekend. Later, lying in bed, Dorian's hand on her stomach, Lena stared at the ceiling and felt something impossible. Peace. "I'm pregnant," she said. Dorian went still. "What?" "Found out this morning. Didn't know how to tell you." He sat up, stared at her. "Are you serious?" "Yeah." For a moment, he just looked at her. Then his face broke into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. "Holy shit." Lena laughed. "That's what I said." He pulled her into his arms, held her tight. "We're having a baby. We're having a baby." They stayed like that, wrapped together, feeling the weight of what was coming. "You're going to be an amazing mother," Dorian whispered. "You think?" "I know." Lena closed her eyes. Thought about the child growing inside her, about the life they'd give them, the choices they'd have, the freedom to exist without disappearing. "No one's erasing this kid," she said fiercely. "No, they're not. And no one's taking credit for their work. Never. And they're going to know every single day that they matter." "Yes." Dorian's voice was thick. "They will." They fell asleep like that, planning a future built on the rubble of the past. What? 8 months later, Lena gave birth to a daughter. They named her Sophia, after no one, because she belonged to no one but herself. Holding her in the hospital, Lena stared at her daughter's face and felt something fundamental shift. This tiny person would never know what it felt like to be invisible, would never apologize for existing, would never shrink herself to fit someone else's vision, because Lena would make damn sure of it. "Hey, little one," she whispered, "welcome to the world." Sophia yawned, gripped Lena's finger with impossible strength. Dorian sat beside them, arm around Lena's shoulders. "She's perfect." "She is." They sat in comfortable silence, watching their daughter sleep. And Lena realized this was the victory, not the atelier, not the awards, not the money or the recognition. This. Building a life where her child would never have to fight to be seen. That was freedom. That was everything. Quotes. 10 years later. Lena stood in her atelier, now 4 locations, international recognition, a cookbook published, a television show in development, and watched Sophia help a customer choose a cake. Her daughter was 9, confident, loud, took up space like it was her birthright, because it was. "This one," Sophia said, pointing to a 3-tier vanilla and raspberry. "Trust me." The customer laughed. "You're very sure of yourself." "I know good cake," Sophia grinned. "My mom taught me." Lena's chest swelled. Later, after closing, Sophia helped clean up. She was chattering about school, about her friends, about a project she was working on. "Can I ask you something?" she said suddenly. "Always." "Grandpa Lorenzo, why don't we see him?" Lena's hands stilled. They'd talked about this before, in age-appropriate ways. But Sophia was getting older, asking harder questions. "Because sometimes," Lena said carefully, "people who are supposed to love you don't know how, and you have to protect yourself." "Did he hurt you?" "Yes." "How?" "By making me feel like I didn't matter." Sophia frowned. That's stupid. You matter. Lena smiled. I know that now, but I didn't always. Why not? Because no one told me, and I forgot to tell myself. Sophia thought about that. I won't forget. Good. Lena pulled her daughter close. You matter, Sophia, always, no matter what anyone says. I know, Mom. Sophia rolled her eyes. You tell me like every day. Because it's true. They finished cleaning, locked up, walked home together through the city lights. At home, Dorian was making dinner. Sophia ran to him, started chattering about her day. Lena watched them, her daughter, loud and unafraid, her husband, patient and present. This was the life she'd fought for. Not perfect, not easy, but hers. Absolutely, undeniably hers. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Lena stood on the balcony with Dorian, looking out at the city. Do you ever regret it? She asked. That night at the wedding. Coming to get me. Dorian was quiet for a moment. Not even once. Even with everything that came after? Especially because of everything that came after. He pulled her close. You became who you were supposed to be. And I got to watch. Lena leaned into him. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. You just didn't have to. They stood in silence, watching the world turn, and Lena realized this was the ending she'd needed. Not revenge, not her father broken and begging, just this, a life built on her own terms, a family that saw her, a name that meant something, her own. She'd been invisible once, but she'd burned that version of herself to ash, and from the ashes, she'd built an empire. Not because someone saved her, but because she'd finally learned to save herself. And that was everything. Set. Ket Thuk. Lena Varelli's atelier stands in the arts district still. Her name in gold letters. A line out the door most days. Inside, people create, learn, build their own stories. Because that's what Lena taught them. That you don't have to stay invisible. That you can fight, can burn, can rebuild. That your name, your real name, the one you claim for yourself, has power. And once you learn that, no one can take it away. Not your family, not your past, not anyone. Lena learned that the hard way. But she learned it, and she never forgot.